I never imagined my life could change with just one sentence from my mom. It happened on an ordinary evening, after dinner, when she looked at me with eyes that carried both warmth and something unsettling. Her voice was calm but firm as she said the words that would unravel everything I thought I knew about myself. "From now on, you won't be my son, you'll be my daughter."
At first, I laughed.
How could she be serious? I was Alex, her 18-year-old boy, quiet, bookish, and a little shy, but nothing extraordinary. My world was small school, video games, late-night movies, and her gentle reminders to focus on my future. But that night, her tone told me she wasn't joking. I stared at her, my heart pounding. "Mom, what are you talking about?" She didn't blink. "It's time you learned something I've kept from you. A secret plan I've been preparing for years." Her words hung in the air like a storm cloud, filling the room with silence that felt heavier than any noise. My fork slipped from my fingers, clattering against the plate. "You've been drifting, Alex," she continued, folding her hands neatly in front of her. "No goals, no confidence, always hiding in the background. I won't watch you waste away. I know what you need, even if you don't." Confusion tangled with fear inside me. "And that's making me your daughter?" She nodded slowly, her lips curling into a strange, almost tender smile.
"Yes."
"You'll understand soon." That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words. The phrase secret plan haunted me. I didn't know whether to feel betrayed, angry, or terrified. Yet, beneath all of that, a sliver of curiosity stirred. Why would she do this? What did she see in me that I couldn't? The next morning, my answer began to unfold. When I entered the kitchen, breakfast was waiting: pancakes, fruit, and a small wrapped box beside my plate. Mom stood nearby, watching. "Open it," she urged. Inside was a delicate pink hairbrush, a compact mirror, and a tube of lip gloss. My stomach tightened. "This," she said softly, "is the first step." I shook my head. "Mom, no. This can't be real." Her expression didn't change. "It's real, Alex. Very real. You'll resist, but every part of this plan has a purpose. And soon, you'll see why I had no choice but to do this." As her words sank in, I realized my life as I knew it was slipping away. My mother wasn't just guiding me, she was reshaping me. And I had no idea how far she would go, or what would become of me once her plan was complete. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, arguments, and strange new routines that my mom imposed on me with an unshakable calmness. At first, I thought maybe this was some bizarre test, a way of teaching me discipline. But every morning, something new appeared: small, delicate things that didn't belong in a boy's world. The hairbrush wasn't enough. Soon there was a bottle of lotion placed on my nightstand with a note: "Use this every night. Smooth skin is the foundation of a polished appearance." Then came a pair of soft slippers in pastel pink, carefully arranged by my bed. I protested, of course. "Mom, I'm not doing this. I don't care what your plan is, this isn't me." But she never raised her voice. That was the strangest part. She wasn't angry. She was patient, almost gentle, as if guiding me down a path she'd been planning for years. "You don't see it yet," she told me one evening while folding laundry. "But I do. You've always been too soft for the world's harshness, Alex. You don't fight, you don't push, you don't demand. That isn't weakness, it's potential. Potential for something better, something beautiful." Her words unnerved me. "Beautiful? Mom, I'm your son. I'm supposed to be strong." She looked at me then, eyes narrowing slightly. "Strength takes many forms. You've been trapped in an image that doesn't suit you. My job is to free you from it." I wanted to argue, but a knot formed in my throat. Deep inside, a question lingered: what if she was right? That weekend, the plan escalated. I woke up to find my closet rearranged. My t-shirts and jeans were gone, replaced by neatly hung blouses, skirts, and soft cardigans. Shoes lined the bottom rack: flats, sandals, even a pair of low heels that looked terrifying to me. My heart dropped. "You can't be serious." Mom appeared behind me, holding a small box. It's time to try. Inside the box lay a pale lavender dress, simple yet elegant, the fabric light against my skin as I held it up in disbelief. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "I can't." "You can," she said firmly. "And you will. This is the next step." Her calmness was scarier than any shouting. She wasn't asking for my permission, she was telling me this was inevitable. I locked myself in my room, clutching the dress, feeling torn apart. A storm of emotions crashed inside me: anger, humiliation, fear. But somewhere beneath all of it, a spark of curiosity flickered again. What would I look like? I hated myself for thinking it, but the thought wouldn't go away. That night, I didn't put on the dress, but I didn't return it either. I folded it carefully and placed it at the foot of my bed. And when I saw the small smile on Mom's face the next morning, I knew she had noticed. Sunday morning started differently. I came downstairs expecting breakfast on the table, the usual comfort of coffee brewing. Instead, I found Mom sitting at the kitchen counter with a makeup bag unzipped in front of her. Foundation, powders, brushes, an entire collection that I'd never seen before, spread out like weapons ready for battle. My stomach sank. "What is this?" She didn't answer directly. Instead, she patted the stool across from her. "Sit. It's time." I froze.
No.
"I told you, I'm not wearing that dress. And I'm not doing this." Her eyes sharpened, though her voice remained steady. "Alex, I've let you resist long enough. Today, you'll stop fighting me." There was no shouting, no anger, just certainty. That was worse. "I'm your son," I argued, my voice cracking. "Why are you doing this to me?" Her expression softened, but her resolve never wavered. "Because you're more than that. And deep down, you know it too. Otherwise, why did you keep that dress folded so neatly by your bed?" I felt my chest tighten. She had noticed. She noticed everything. Before I could reply, she stood, came around the counter, and placed her hands on my shoulders. Her grip was firm, but not unkind. She guided me to the stool.
I didn't resist this time.
Maybe because I was too tired, or maybe because part of me wanted to know what would happen if I stopped saying no. She began with my hair, brushing it with slow, careful strokes. The sound of bristles moving through the strands filled the silence. "You've always had such fine hair," she murmured. "It frames your face so well. People will see what I see once I'm done." My reflection in the kitchen window looked strange, already softer, unfamiliar. Next came the foundation. The cool sensation on my skin made me flinch. "Hold still," she instructed gently. "It's just makeup, Alex. Nothing to fear." Layer by layer, she transformed me. My features blurred into something different, still me, yet not me. My lips tinted pink, my lashes darker, my cheeks faintly glowing. I hardly recognized the face staring back at me when she turned the mirror around. My throat went dry. "That's not me." She tilted her head. "It's more you than you realize." Then she brought out the lavender dress again, the one I had secretly touched, folded, and kept. She held it out, waiting. I hesitated, heart pounding so loudly, I thought she could hear it. "Alex," she said softly but firmly, "this is the moment.
Put it on.
Or walk away and lose me forever." The ultimatum hit like thunder.
Leave.
Lose her? Despite everything, the confusion, the anger, she was my mom. I couldn't imagine walking out that door. With trembling hands, I took the dress. Changing into it felt like stepping into another reality. The fabric hugged me differently than any shirt or jeans ever had. It was lighter, fragile, almost too delicate for my body. When I finally stood before her, she smiled, not smugly, not cruelly, but with something close to pride. "There you are." I couldn't breathe. My reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger, yet somewhere in the stranger's eyes, I recognized myself. And that terrified me more than anything else. The moment I thought it was over, that trying on the lavender dress in the safety of our kitchen was enough, Mom surprised me again. "Keep it on," she said, gathering her purse. My eyes widened. "What?"
No, no, no.
I can't. You can, she interrupted smoothly, slipping on her shoes. And you will. We're going out. My heart stopped. Out? As in outside? Like this? She met my panic with calm certainty.
Yes. Just for a short while.
You need to see how the world responds. You'll learn something important today. I shook my head violently. Mom, people will stare. They'll laugh at me. I'll be humiliated. Or, she countered, you'll realize they're too busy with their own lives to care. Sometimes, the prison you feel is only in your mind. I stood frozen, clutching the hem of the lavender dress. Going outside like this? It felt unthinkable. And yet, she was already at the door, keys in hand, waiting. Reluctantly, I followed. The walk to the car felt like a nightmare. Every step in those soft flats, every brush of the dress against my legs, reminded me I wasn't me anymore. At least not the version I had always known. Mom didn't treat it like anything unusual. She hummed as she drove, the sunlight streaming through the windshield. My palms sweated the entire ride. Finally, we pulled up to a small grocery store. My stomach flipped. Please no. Not here. Not in public. Mom turned to me, her voice firm but kind. Alex, trust me. Just stay close, keep your head up, and breathe. You'll see. The fluorescent lights of the store felt like spotlights. My legs trembled as I pushed the cart, every nerve in my body screaming that everyone was staring. But then something strange happened. The cashier smiled politely and said, "Good morning." An older woman passed by with her cart, barely glancing at me. A child tugged at her mother's sleeve, too busy begging for candy to notice me at all. The world didn't stop. Nobody pointed, nobody laughed. They just carried on. For the first time, I breathed. Mom leaned close as we turned down an aisle.
See?
You thought they'd all judge you, but the only one judging you is yourself. I swallowed hard, trying to process it. She was right. My fear had painted a crueler picture than reality. Still, when a teenage boy walked by and gave me a curious look, my face burned with shame. I quickly looked away, gripping the cart tighter. By the time we left, my chest was pounding, but something had shifted. The humiliation I feared hadn't destroyed me. The world hadn't ended. Back in the car, Mom placed her hand over mine. This is only the beginning, Alex. You've taken your first step into a larger truth, and you handled it better than you think. I stared out the window, watching the familiar streets roll by. I didn't want to admit it, but she was right. A part of me deep down was curious about what came next. That scared me more than anything. That evening, after our tense grocery trip, I thought I'd earned a break. I changed back into my regular clothes the second we returned home, eager to shove the lavender dress to the farthest corner of my room. But Mom didn't let me rest. When I came downstairs later, she was waiting in the living room with a small jewelry box on her lap. "Sit," she said simply. Exhaustion weighed on me, but something in her tone made it impossible to argue. I sat across from her, wary. She opened the box. Inside, delicate chains glimmered bracelets, a thin necklace with a heart-shaped charm, and a pair of clip-on earrings that sparkled under the lamp. My chest tightened.
No.
Mom, this is going too far. She smiled faintly. It's not far enough. Before I could object, she held up the necklace. This was mine when I was your age. I wore it when I needed courage. Now, I think it belongs to you. Her words caught me off guard. Courage? Mom, this isn't courage. It's embarrassing. She leaned forward, her eyes piercing mine. Courage isn't about fighting wars, Alex. It's about facing yourself, even when you're afraid of what you might see. I froze. For a moment, I saw not just determination in her gaze, but something softer hope. Reluctantly, I let her fasten the necklace around my neck. The charm rested lightly against my skin, strangely warm, like it belonged there. Then came the bracelets, one on each wrist. Finally, the earrings just a little pinch, and suddenly my reflection shimmered with details I'd never imagined wearing. I stared at myself in the mirror she handed me. It wasn't just clothes anymore. It was an identity forming piece by piece, each accessory a thread in a web I didn't know how to escape. Mom, my voice trembled. Why are you doing this to me? Why can't I just be your son? She reached out, cupping my face gently. Because I see the daughter you could be, and I can't unsee her anymore. Her words hit harder than I expected.
Daughter.
Not son. She wasn't joking. This wasn't a temporary experiment. It was a plan she believed in with her whole heart. I wanted to tear everything off, run upstairs, slam the door, and lock myself away. But when I looked at myself again, something stopped me. The necklace glowed softly in the lamplight. The earrings framed my face differently. The bracelets glinted when I moved my hands. And the terrifying truth was, I didn't hate it. That night, lying in bed, I kept touching the heart-shaped charm resting against my chest. It felt heavy, not because of its weight, but because of what it symbolized. Mom had given me more than jewelry. She'd given me a choice. Or maybe an ultimatum. The next morning, I thought maybe things would slow down. I'd already been through too much makeup, the lavender dress, even that humiliating trip to the grocery store. Surely, Mom would let it rest. But when I walked into the kitchen, still rubbing sleep from my eyes, she greeted me with a smile that made my stomach twist. Get dressed, Alex, she said, setting down a tray of muffins. We're having company. I froze. Company?
Who?
Mrs. Jenkins, she answered casually, pouring herself coffee. Our neighbor. She's bringing over some of her famous banana bread. Panic surged through me.
Mom, no.
You can't mean you don't expect me to. Her eyes met mine, calm but firm.
Yes.
I do. I shook my head. She'll know. She'll see right through me. Mom set down her cup and walked over, placing both hands on my shoulders. Alex, listen to me. People see what you show them. If you act afraid, they'll notice. If you carry yourself with grace, they'll accept it without question. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. Minutes later, I found myself back in the lavender dress, with the necklace still resting against my collarbone. Mom touched up my makeup quickly, humming softly as if this were the most natural routine in the world. Mom, I whispered, trembling, please don't make me do this. She kissed my forehead gently. This isn't punishment, Alex. This is protection. You'll thank me someday. And then the doorbell rang. Mrs. Jenkins was a cheerful woman in her 60s, carrying a warm loaf of banana bread wrapped in foil. Good morning, she sang as she stepped inside. I stood awkwardly by the table, praying the ground would swallow me whole. Her eyes landed on me, and for a terrifying moment, I thought she'd frown, question, or worse, laugh. But instead, she smiled warmly. Oh, and who is this lovely young lady? My heart stopped. Lovely young lady. She hadn't recognized me. Mom beamed. This is Alexis, she said smoothly, giving my shoulder a gentle squeeze. She's been helping me around the house. Alexis. The name hit me like lightning. A single letter away from Alex, yet it felt like a universe apart. I stammered something incoherent, my cheeks burning. Mrs. Jenkins didn't seem to notice. She chatted happily about her garden, her cats, and the neighborhood, while I nodded and forced polite smiles. The strangest part? She never once looked at me, suspiciously. To her, I was exactly what Mom claimed a girl named Alexis. When she finally left, thanking us for the visit, I collapsed onto the couch, my whole body trembling. She believed it, I whispered, barely able to process it. Mom sat beside me, her hand gently rubbing my back. Of course she did. Because you were believable. I looked at her, desperate for answers. Why, Mom? Why are you doing this to me? She met my gaze with quiet intensity. Because the world has always tried to mold you into something you're not. I won't let that happen. I'm showing you who you truly are. I wanted to argue, scream, deny it all. But the echo of Mrs. Jenkins' words rang in my ears. Lovely young lady. And deep down, I couldn't ignore how a part of me terrified, though it was felt something close to relief. I thought Mrs. Jenkins' visit was the peak of humiliation, but Mom wasn't slowing down. In fact, her plan was only accelerating. The next morning, she walked into my room carrying a folded outfit, not just a dress, but an entire set. A cream-colored blouse with lace at the collar, a knee-length skirt in soft gray, matching flats, and a small handbag. My chest tightened.
No.
Absolutely not. I'm not doing this again. She didn't even flinch. Yes, you are. You're coming with me today. Where? I demanded. The library, she said simply. I have books to return. And you, Alexis, are going to help me. The way she said the name made my skin prickle. Alexis. She didn't hesitate anymore. She was treating it as real. I clenched my fists. Mom, people there will know me. They'll recognize me. She shook her head. Not if you trust yourself. Remember Mrs. Jenkins? She didn't question a thing. And neither will anyone else. Her calmness terrified me more than anger would have. The ride to the library was torture. Every time I caught my reflection in the car window, the blouse buttoned neatly, the skirt brushing against my knees, the faint pink gloss on my lips, I wanted to disappear. When we pulled into the parking lot, I froze. Mom, I can't. Please. Let me stay in the car. She turned to me, her eyes sharp yet gentle. Alexis, you can. And you will. If you can manage this, you'll see the strength inside you that you've been denying. She took my hand and squeezed it. I believe in you, even if you don't. And with that, she opened her door. Inside, the library was quiet, every sound amplified by my racing heartbeat. My flats tapped softly against a tiled floor as I followed Mom to the front desk. The librarian, a young woman with glasses, looked up and smiled. Good afternoon. Mom returned the smile easily. These are my returns. And this is my daughter, Alexis. She's been such a help lately. My breath caught.
Daughter.
Again. The word felt heavier this time, as though it was binding me. The librarian looked at me briefly, then nodded warmly. Nice to meet you, Alexis. You must be proud of your mom. She's one of our most loyal readers. I forced a smile, mumbling, Nice to meet you too. She didn't hesitate. She didn't question. She believed it. As we walked away, my legs wobbled, but something inside me cracked open. Could it really be that easy? That people would accept me without a second glance? Mom leaned close, whispering, Do you see now? The world is ready for Alexis. The only one who isn't is you. When we got home, I locked myself in my room, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The blouse, the skirt, the gloss, they should have felt like a costume. But the longer I looked, the harder it became to tell if it was a disguise or something else. And that thought terrified me more than anything Mom could ever say. By the next weekend, I had almost convinced myself things might quiet down. Maybe Mom had proven her point with the grocery trip and the library test. Maybe she'd finally let me breathe. I was wrong. Saturday morning, she knocked on my door and stepped in carrying a garment bag. I sat up instantly, nerves spiking. What's that? Her eyes sparkled. A surprise. Today, Alexis is getting her first real makeover. I nearly jumped out of bed.
No.
Absolutely not. I've done enough. I went outside twice. I played along. I'm done.
She didn't argue.
Instead, she unzipped the bag. My breath caught. Inside was a pale pink dress with a flowing skirt, paired with a fitted white cardigan. A pair of nude heels peeked from the bottom of the bag. This isn't playing along, she said calmly. This is becoming. I shook my head furiously. Mom, I'm not becoming anyone. I'm me, Alex. But she stepped closer, her hand brushing my cheek. And I see Alexis every time I look at you. Today, I'll show you what I see. The makeover began in the bathroom. She set out everything. Foundation, contour, blush, eyeshadow, mascara, lipstick. Each step felt like erasing Alex piece by piece, replacing him with someone else. I tried to resist, but her words guided me with eerie certainty. Smile softer. Don't slouch.
Tilt your chin, yes, like that.
Grace isn't in the clothes, Alex. It's in how you carry yourself. By the time she was done, my reflection made my stomach flip. I looked polished, almost natural. Then came the dress. Slipping into it felt like stepping deeper into quicksand, every movement sinking me further into a role I wasn't sure I could escape. The heels terrified me. I wobbled instantly, clutching the wall. Mom chuckled softly. One step at a time.
Keep your weight centered.
Shorter strides. She demonstrated gracefully, then guided me until I could take a few shaky steps without stumbling. Every correction, every instruction felt like training not just appearance, but behavior. At lunch, she even coached me on posture and tone. Elbows off the table. Speak lightly, not harshly. And remember, Alexis doesn't hide. She shines. By evening, I was exhausted not just physically, but emotionally. Yet when I caught my reflection one last time, I froze. I didn't just look like a girl. I looked convincing. Like Alexis had always been there, waiting. The realization shook me. Mom, I whispered, my voice breaking, what if I can't go back? She met my gaze with quiet certainty.
That's the point, Alex.
There's no going back. Only forward. Her words left me trembling. Because deep down, I feared she was right. And a part of me, though I hated to admit, it wasn't sure I wanted to go back at all. Sunday afternoon, I thought maybe I'd earned a break after yesterday's exhausting transformation. But when Mom entered my room carrying her phone, I knew better. She smiled like she'd been waiting for this moment. Alexis, it's time for your first real test. I frowned. What do you mean, test?
She turned the phone toward me.
On the screen was a group chat with two of her close friends' neighbors I'd known since childhood. The message read, "Can't wait to meet Alexis tomorrow for tea. So excited."
My heart sank. No.
Absolutely not. You can't just, Mom, they'll know. They'll laugh. They'll see right through me. She stepped closer, her voice steady but firm. They won't. Because Alexis isn't a joke. She's real. And tomorrow you'll prove it. I backed up, panic rising.
Mom, please.
I'm not ready for this. Her expression softened, but her words didn't. You're never ready for change, Alex. You live it or it never happens. That night, I barely slept. Every possible disaster played in my mind. What if they recognized me instantly? What if they whispered to each other the moment I left the room? By morning, my nerves were so raw I could hardly breathe. Mom helped me dress again, this time in a soft lavender blouse tucked into a knee-length skirt with simple flats instead of heels. Approachable, graceful, but not too much, she explained. As she brushed my hair into neat waves, she whispered, "Remember, Alexis isn't pretending. She's stepping forward. Hold that in your mind and you'll be fine." But when the doorbell rang, my heart nearly exploded. We walked into the living room together. Mrs. Daniels and Aunt Carol, two women who'd seen me grow up, stood waiting with warm smiles. "Alexis," Mrs. Daniels exclaimed, her arms opening for a hug. My breath caught, but before I could hesitate, she pulled me close. "Oh, you're even lovelier than your mother said." Lovely. The word hit me like a thunderclap. Aunt Carol chimed in, "Your hair suits you beautifully. And that blouse, such a delicate color." I sat down, knees pressed together, trying desperately not to fidget. My voice shook as I answered their small talk, but neither of them flinched or questioned me. They laughed with me, complimented me, and treated me as if Alexis had always existed. At one point, Mrs. Daniels leaned in, lowering her voice. "You must feel so free, finally being yourself." I froze. My lips parted, but no words came. She thought this was real. I glanced at Mom, who only smiled back, her eyes gleaming with victory. When the guests finally left, I collapsed onto the couch, shaking. "See," Mom said softly, brushing my shoulder. "They didn't just accept you.
They welcomed you."
I stared at the door, my pulse still racing. And for the first time, I realized something terrifying. Maybe Alexis wasn't just convincing them. Maybe she was starting to convince me. I thought the tea with Mom's friends was the peak of my nightmare. But the next morning, she casually dropped another bombshell. "Alexis," she said while setting breakfast on the table, "your Aunt Miriam is hosting a small family dinner tonight. You'll come with me, of course. My fork slipped from my hand.
What? Mom, no.
Dinner with family? That's not the same as tea with your friends. They'll know me too well. They'll recognize me instantly. She met my panic with calm determination. All the more reason to go. If you can walk into a room full of people who knew Alex and leave as Alexis, then you'll understand there's no turning back. I shook my head, voice trembling. You can't just decide this for me. She reached across the table, gently taking my hand. Sweetheart, I know you're scared. But every transformation needs a leap. Tonight is yours. The rest of the day was a blur of dread. My stomach twisted tighter with every passing hour. When evening came, Mom laid out an outfit on my bed, a soft peach dress with subtle floral patterns paired with a cream cardigan. A delicate chain with a tiny pendant rested on top. I stared at it, speechless. Mom entered, her eyes sparkling. This will show them your warmth. Not flashy, not forced. Just you softened. With trembling hands, I changed. The dress was light and flowing, the cardigan hugging my frame just enough to feel safe. Mom braided my hair into a loose side plait and gave me natural makeup, just enough to highlight my features. When I looked in the mirror, Alexis gazed back calm, almost graceful. But my heart still pounded like thunder. At Aunt Miriam's, voices and laughter spilled out even before we stepped inside. My legs threatened to give way. Mom squeezed my hand. Deep breath. Alexis belongs here. We walked in. Heads turned. For a split second, silence stretched across the room. Then Aunt Miriam gasped, her eyes wide. Oh my, Alexis, is that really you? She came rushing over, arms wrapping me in a hug before I could even answer. I felt the world tilt. Nobody laughed. Nobody whispered. Instead, my cousin smiled, complimenting my dress, asking gentle questions. Even Uncle James, who I'd feared most, simply gave a slow nod. Brave choice, he said quietly, his tone more respectful than mocking. Throughout dinner, I stumbled over words, but laughter and warmth filled the air. Every time I felt I was slipping, Mom caught my eye, giving a subtle nod that grounded me. Hours later, as we drove home, I sat in stunned silence. Mom broke it with a simple sentence. You see now, don't you? Alexis isn't a disguise. She's you, seen clearly. I swallowed hard, staring at my reflection in the car window. For the first time, I wasn't sure if she was wrong. I woke up hoping the family dinner had been enough to satisfy Mom's ambitions. But the sparkle in her eyes over breakfast told me otherwise. She set her coffee cup down and smiled knowingly. Alexis, you did wonderfully last night. So today, it's time for something bigger. My stomach dropped. Bigger? Mom, please. I can't do more right now. You can, she insisted, her tone firm but encouraging. We're going shopping. In public. Among strangers. You'll walk, talk, and live as Alexis, not for a dinner, not for a visit, but out in the world. I almost choked. The mall?
No.
Absolutely not. People will stare, Mom. They'll see right through me. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. Listen to me. Strangers don't know Alex. They only meet Alexis. If you carry yourself with belief, they'll believe too. By noon, I found myself in the passenger seat of the car, hands twisting nervously in my lap. Mom had dressed me in a casual outfit, fitted jeans, a lilac blouse with a soft cardigan, and simple sneakers. My hair was pulled into a neat ponytail, my makeup light but polished. It was the most normal Alexis had looked, yet somehow that made me even more terrified. The mall loomed ahead like a fortress. Deep breaths, Mom whispered as we walked through the sliding doors. Head high, smile. Every step felt like walking on glass. My ears burned, convinced everyone was staring, whispering. But when I glanced around, no one seemed to care. Shoppers bustled past, busy with their own lives. A cashier smiled politely. A woman complimented my blouse in passing. Bit by bit, the fear loosened its grip. Mom led me into a boutique. The sales assistant greeted us cheerfully. Hi ladies, can I help you find something? Ladies. The word hit me like a spark. She hadn't hesitated. She hadn't doubted. Mom answered casually. Yes, my daughter is looking for something light for spring. Daughter. I froze, staring at her. But the assistant only smiled at me, holding up a pale yellow sundress. This would look gorgeous on you. Want to try it on? My hands shook as I took the dress. In the fitting room, I slipped it over my head. The fabric flowed around me, bright and airy. When I stepped out, Mom's eyes softened. Beautiful, she whispered. The assistant clapped her hands lightly. It's perfect on you. You have such a natural grace. I looked in the mirror again. For the first time, I didn't just see Alex in a dress. I saw Alexis standing tall, smiling nervously, but smiling all the same. As we left the store with a shopping bag in my hand, Mom gave me a knowing glance.
See?
The world didn't collapse. In fact, it opened for you. I swallowed hard, clutching the bag tighter. Maybe she was right. Maybe Alexis wasn't a mask at all. But that thought scared me more than any crowd ever could.